Well, let's talk about America now. It's now officially recorded 61,000 deaths and over 1 million infections. Is it any closer to a recovery? Not quite. But 31 U.S. states now plan to reopen partially by the end of this week. The U.S. President Donald Trump claims he's done a very good job in controlling the pandemic. But majority of the Americans have a very different opinion. Here's why.
The death toll from COVID-19 keeps rising in the United States. American leaders insist they have done a very good job to control the pandemic. Is it so? Let's see what the American public thinks. A survey by Pew Research Center conducted April 7th to the 12th found most Americans are not satisfied with Trump's initial response to the crisis. By a nearly 2-to-1 margin, Americans say the president was too slow to take major steps to address the threat. Polls from organizations share similar findings. According to a CNN survey, 55% of Americans say the federal government has done a poor job to contain the virus. The figure is up 8 points in about a week. Another poll jointly conducted by NBC and The Wall Street Journal shows 52% of voters believe Trump did not take the pandemic seriously enough at the beginning of the crisis.
Hope that he can pull a rabbit out of a hat, and that rabbit being competence. But yes. I don't think it's safe for any of us to bank on that.
Trump has repeatedly bragged about his antivirus achievements. But in reality, coronavirus has already killed 16 times more Americans than the 9/11 terror attacks. Trump's claims are a vain attempt to fool his citizens. This is not the worst thing for the president. It seems the more optimistic his rhetoric, the more damage it brings to his credibility. The same Pew survey found more than half of Americans believe the president is trying to make the situation seem better than it really is. According to a recent poll by Morning Consult, less than half of voters are satisfied with coronavirus information provided by Trump. The president ranked far below Anthony Fauci, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, local news, governors, the WHO, and national news as the public's preferred source of coronavirus information. Curbing the spread of the virus is only one part of the government's responsibility. It has been months since the pause button was hit on the world's largest economy. With factories closed and public facilities paralyzed, how to restart the stalled economy is another priority for Trump's administration. Interestingly, while a majority of Americans disapprove of the president's performance on the virus, he receives his most positive ratings for addressing the needs of businesses. According to the Pew survey, 51% of voters believe the president is doing an excellent or good job in responding to the economic needs of firms facing financial difficulties. But majority approval may not last long. With the coronavirus infection rate still on the rise, the president wants to get Americans back to work as quickly as possible. Despite health experts' warnings, Trump unveiled his plans to reopen the country this month. The move immediately prompted widespread criticism.
Any plan that is going to start to reopen the economy has to be based on data, and that means it has to be based on testing.
Pew found 66% of Americans think state governments will lift restrictions on public activity too quickly. 73% of American adults believe the worst is still to come in terms of the problems the country is facing from the outbreak. The Trump administration has sought to contain the virus and revive the economy, but the simple fact is, its performance has been far from satisfactory to the Americans bearing the brunt of the crisis.